Hello, wherever you're joining us from today, we want to say a huge welcome to our global community. We hope that you're enjoying the Customer Marketing Summit. I also want to send out an extra special thank you to all our sponsors, partners, and participants who together have made this event possible. We are also delighted to welcome Crowdvocate as our headline sponsor today. Their sessions are bursting with insights to help you level up. But remember, the learning doesn't stop here. If you haven't already, you can upgrade your pass to include access to all today's sessions on demand with our Access All Areas pass. Or you can become a PMA Pro member and benefit from unlimited access to exclusive templates, frameworks, and our entire library of videos and slide decks from our events. And remember, have your questions at the ready. Simply post your question in the comments section and get awesome advice from an expert in the field. What's not to love about that? So now, on to the next talk. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Customer Marketing Summit. As you know by now, my name is Rose. I'm the Community Director here at Product Marketing Alliance, and I am really excited to be hosting this awesome fireside chat. I am joined by the wonderful Taylor Page, who is the Senior Manager of Customer Marketing at A Cloud Guru. And we're going to be diving into all things on the relationship between customer marketing, customer success, and how you can really collaborate to create some magic. We're going to start things off with a bit more of a thorough intro. So welcome to the stage, Taylor. We'd love to hear a little bit more about you.
Yeah, hi, thanks. I'm so excited to be here and to be presenting at the Customer Marketing Summit. So I think, like a lot of customer marketers, I came into customer marketing in sort of like a sideways way. My background is in nonprofits, actually, but I have been working in the SaaS world for 8 years, some number of years. And I've held pretty much I've been part of every go-to-market team you can think of. I've been an account executive on a sales team. I created and ran a business development and strategic partnerships program. And I also was a customer success manager. So, I don't have a traditional marketing background. Certainly my digital marketing knowledge can always use some bolstering, but I think that background of being in a lot of different roles and being in a lot of customer and prospect facing roles gives me a good perspective when it comes to customer marketing, and especially when it comes to working alongside and really working with customer success teams in order to drive those positive customer outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, chatting to all the community members, I think there's no regular route necessarily into either customer marketing or product marketing more generally. And it's always super interesting to hear what kind of all the different backgrounds that people have. But yeah, as you mentioned, you are very well placed to be chatting about this relationship, having sat on both the customer marketing and customer success side. But yeah, before we dive in, I guess would love to hear a little bit more about the overview of kind of the key similarities and differences, maybe how you've seen customer success versus customer marketing structured in the different roles you've been in. Just give us a bit of insight into that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the common ground is pretty vast. There's both organizations, both roles are hyper focused on existing customers and everything that entails, engaging them, bringing them on board, potentially expanding or really driving that ROI so that customers are seeing the value of the product and interested in expanding. And at the end of the day, retention, I think, is a huge, huge bottom line driver for both customer success and customer marketing. However, both teams go about things in really different ways, and they have different strengths. The customer marketing function that I've built at A Cloud Guru really consists of both the customer communication, sort of that one-to-many customer communication channels that include nurture communications, newsletters, webinar invites, targeted communication based on certain milestones, that type of thing, as well as customer advocacy. So referrals and references, online review management, and customer stories like case studies. Sort of all of that falls under customer marketing. I think similarly to how there's like not one route into customer marketing, there's like not one way to set up a customer marketing team. I've seen it done many different ways at many different companies, but I think in general, right, you see a customer communication component potentially, and then some sort of customer advocacy or engagement component. On the flip side, customer success, I think, tends to look fairly similar across companies, right? So you've got a team of customer success managers and their associated leadership, and they tend to be focused on, most companies, that is a super valuable resource. So it tends to be focused on larger customers. Maybe you're working with enterprise companies, or at our company, for example, we sell based on licenses, right? So if you purchase a certain number of licenses, one of the perks, one of the features included with that is a customer success manager. So because of that, those customer success managers are hyper focused on their accounts and their book of business and developing those deep interpersonal relationships. Like, we have some incredible customer success managers, and they can tell you like the name of their point of contact's husband and all of their kids and where they went on vacation last month, right? Like really deep relationships. They understand the account's upper, like high level business goals. They understand where the team fits in the broader organization, right? Like they have a lot of that knowledge about that account, that customer marketers really are. They might have data and inputs, but they don't have that like deep knowledge of the people involved. So I think that's, at least at in my experience, what I've seen, those are sort of the like lay of the land for both groups, and sort of where they have common ground, but also where their perspectives differ, and where there can be some causes of tension.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's so interesting to see how both job functions are evolving as well, and really coming to the light is that true strategic position that they can own, being in that conversation with customers day in, day out. And yeah, I think a lot of companies are really kind of harnessing that power at this time, which is why kind of this space is such an exciting place to be working in.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I did notice you kind of alluded to it there, but there's often a few points of kind of tension or competition or overlapping or, gray area, to put it nicely. I guess in your experience, like what kind of issues have you seen with customer marketers and customer success teams working together?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can certainly speak to my experience, right? I think when you're talking about existing customers, they're a scarce resource. They're a limited resource. I think there's also a lot more emotion attached to them. And especially when we're talking about, creating those deep relationships, those deep interpersonal relationships, those are very valuable. And a customer success manager has put a lot of their own time and effort into investing in this account, these people, these points of contact. Like there's a lot of skin in the game. And I think that can naturally lead to sort of some really, really wanting to provide that white glove service, and thus kind of not wanting anyone else to touch it, and potentially disrupt any of those relationships that they've built. I think on the flip side, customer marketing teams, if they're doing a good job, tend to be very data driven and tend to be very much looking at the big picture. And, as marketers, we're all about developing segments and personas and audiences, but all of those, they may be one to like not that many, but they are all by their nature one to many. You are not providing a one-to-one white glove service with like very few exceptions. You're going to be looking for the common denominators. You're going to be looking for messaging that's going to resonate with a large group of customers, but it might not be 100% perfect for each one. It'll be 90% right for 1,000, right? So I think that one to many versus one to one, that tension, I think can lead to walls being built up, or at the slightly less like aggressive silos, right? Silos developing between the teams and keeping them from developing that really tight collaboration and partnership that I think is absolutely crucial to customers actually seeing results and actually seeing value. And at the end of the day, achieving that retention level, that retention and expansion that, is really the end goal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so interesting to think kind of how aligned they can be in terms of goals and, the ultimate end goal, like you said. But yeah, the route to it is sometimes tricky one to navigate. So kind of bearing all that in mind, I'd love for you to talk us through a few kind of key tips and lessons learned along the way. Talk us through.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the absolute first step, and I'll put all of this in context of this is what I've done when working with customer success teams from a customer marketing lens. And I've used sort of these are the tips that I've developed from both my successes and also my missteps. I would say the absolute first thing is aligning on your goals. So whether y'all use OKRs, objectives and key results, if you're using key performance indicators like a KPI, or you've just got like more broad goals for a certain time period, H1, Q2, whatever, really understanding what customer success is as a department, what their goals look like. Are they focused on air coverage? Do they just want to make sure that every account has heard from their customer success manager? What are their retention numbers like? Are customer success managers responsible for engagement, especially if you have a SaaS product, logins, monthly active users, weekly active users? Are those metrics that they're looking at? Maybe they're interested in advocacy pieces like creating case studies. I think all of those could be the broader OKRs for customer success, but customer marketing should really understand what those are, and vice versa. Also, customer marketing needs to have their own goals defined. Looking at your top level business objectives and rolling down to see what customer marketing can influence. But I think to my mind, the goal of that is when you understand what goals customer success is working to, you understand what goals you're working to, it's much easier to find those key points of alignment and understand the broader picture, which is like, we're all on the same team. We're all working towards the same goal, which is providing excellent customer outcomes that drive value, that drive solutions to the problems our product is solving. Like that's what we all want to achieve at the end of the day. But I think having really clear understanding of like, okay, your goal is to drive admin logins and you want to achieve whatever, 80% retention rate, right? Mm-hmm. Great. Customer marketing can align on that, understand it, and help to bolster those efforts using the sort of customer marketing approach to things. So number one, align on your goals is my first takeaway.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it keeps kind of coming back to that, but having that level of transparency really is the first step to collaborating, because, you can't be working effectively with anyone in the wider organization, let alone the people who you're most, you know, aligned with in terms of who you're reaching out to and what you're trying to achieve day in, day out, without that initial level of kind of transparency and understanding, and also ability to like prioritize as well. So yeah, super interesting. Cool. Take it away.
Well, I think, exactly what you're saying is kind of my like second point that I would make, which is that transparency and collaboration. It can't just be on sort of the highest level of like, oh, strategically we are aligned, right? But I think some of it is really getting in the weeds and creating those relationships, right? So whether it's establishing, for example, I have biweekly meetings with customer success leadership, so that we really are always very much on the same page. As their goals change, we can understand, okay, their goals are changing or shifting. Our goals, our priorities even might be changing, but how can we make sure we are staying on the same page? But I think the other piece is really getting hands-on with the actual customer success managers, the individuals who are working one-on-one with these accounts. That gets a lot easier if your company has a listening software of some kind, like Gong or Chorus. That makes it a little easier to listen in on those conversations. But I also think having those regular syncs, a lot of meetings can be emails, but some meetings like really need to be meetings. And I think a listening session with customer success managers where you're really understanding, like, okay, let's look at our market. What are the common problems? Because all of our customers are obviously going to be aligned in having common problems that we're looking to solve. Otherwise, they wouldn't be our customers. But, what are kind of the top priority problems? What are the top pieces of feedback that we're getting? Having those open levels of communication with the people who are on the ground, having call after call after call with customers every day, just gives such incredible insight. And vice versa, I think from a customer marketing standpoint, providing that transparency and that level of openness with the programs we're running, the campaigns we've got going on, what we're thinking about really helps develop that trust, and build that confidence that, okay, I've got my accounts that I care a lot about, and customer marketing is reaching out to those accounts in a way that I understand. I know why they're doing it. I know what they're doing. And it really, I think, helps build that team feeling that we're all working together towards a common goal, rather than driving any sort of like protectiveness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely. And I think, just highlighting again that extensive amount of feedback that you're gathering day in, day out, and really harnessing that. And looking at how that's feeding back into kind of your next immediate plan and stuff like that, is an absolute no-brainer. But what I also really appreciate in what you're just planning out then is the continuous nature of that, because every conversation you have, every season or quarter brings new challenges, brings new trends, new releases, so there will be a constant stream of different things to harness, for both success and marketing teams. So super interesting way that you guys are running it there. Awesome.
Yeah. And I think kind of my last takeaway, I think can kind of be all one, which is understanding from both perspectives, both sort of a customer success perspective and a customer marketing perspective, what the customer life cycle looks like and what communications are mapping to those different parts of the life cycle. And that sounds like a little amorphous, so I can be a little bit more explicit. So, as at a Cloud Guru, I worked with customer success as well as sales and product. But, it kind of started from the customer marketing and success perspective. We worked to develop a customer lifecycle map. Our product is sold typically on an annual basis as an annual subscription. So we kind of started there, right? So, but understanding, okay, from the customer success perspective, from the customer marketing perspective, as a part of a broader kind of marketing lifecycle funnel, what are the different stages that a customer goes to? And what are the milestones that indicate those stages and moving from one to another? What's the goal of each stage? Okay, so onboarding, great. Who handles onboarding? How long should onboarding last? How do we know that a customer has been onboarded? When can we say, okay, check, they move from onboarding to, we have our second life cycle stages, engagement. Okay, so what are the kind of bottom line metrics that we want to see in engagement, right? And then kind of getting deeper into an adoption phase, then looking at retention and advocacy, but understanding and being really clear on, from a customer success standpoint, when do they start retention reach outs? When do they start expansion reach outs? Similarly, from a customer marketing perspective, what do these different life cycles look like? Because then once we've got that foundation, we can start building our nurture sequences, our nurture programs and campaigns to be really targeted to those different life cycle stages. And customer success is also driving communication to those life cycle stages. So we're very, very much in alignment, reinforcing and reiterating the same message. I think that's where we've seen so much success. Like everyone in customer communication knows, like you have to say the same thing 100 times and then 100 more times to make sure to really, really get messages across. And so I think what we've found is using that joint capabilities of one-to-many and one-to-one to reinforce those message, to open up those feedback channels. That's where we've really seen those customer results really, really shine.
Amazing. That's super interesting. And yeah, I think there's so many different routes for communicating and methods to communicating with customers as well. There's like a whole nother kind of field to think about of who's getting the message out where and when. And yeah, like you said, repetition is key. Awesome. That kind of wraps up all my questions. But yeah, I just wanted to say thanks very much for joining us. And if you have anything else to add, then feel free. Otherwise, it would be great if you could let people know how they can potentially connect with you further, find out more about Cloud Guru and what you're doing there as a customer marketing team, and yeah, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I am very much on LinkedIn, so you can always find me there. Taylor Page, I work at A Cloud Guru, and yeah, I would love to connect with everyone. I love talking about customer marketing, talking about customer success, and I have so many more stories to share. As my grandmother said, I am pretty chatty, never have ever run out of words to say. So yeah, would love to chat with anyone. If you've got questions or ideas about how to partner with customer success, would love to hear it.
Awesome. Thanks for that open invite. And yeah, thanks again for joining us, Taylor. Hope everyone really got a lot out of that session. We are going to be right back with another talk, so stay tuned.